Hi guys, welcome to Flowcast, a podcast by Flowout where we chat with successful entrepreneurs, freelancers, and other amazing professionals that are crushing it in their game. We're Flo and Peter, and we'll be your host on this audio journey. In this week's episode, we'll talk with Putri Karunia, co-founder and CTO at Typedream. We'll get to know Putri, who is going to share valuable insights on building no-code web builders, getting into Y Combinator, and what she has learned through her career as a designer, developer, and founder. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation.
Like Flo said in the introduction, today we're here with one and only Putri Karunia. Putri is co-founder and CTO of Typedream. From being a software engineer for huge tech companies like Yelp to building digital products and getting into Y Combinator. Putri, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
All right, to kick it off, tell us about yourself a bit. Like, what's your background? Where are you coming from? What did you do before being a co-founder?
Yeah, for sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Putri. I'm originally from Indonesia. I came to the US to study computer science. And yeah, I graduated from Berkeley as an EECS major. And after graduation, started building our startup, which eventually becomes Typedream.
Oh, nice. So you came from Indonesia. So you weren't born in the US or didn't come already as a child. So came just for college or university
Yes.
and then stay here. Yeah, can you tell us a bit about the process? Like, how is like going from Indonesia to the United States to study?
It was very different, I'd say. So that when I came here for college, that was actually my first time in the US as well. So it was very exciting for me at the time, but also a bit scary because that was also my first time away from home. But I think the biggest difference was my mindset. When I come here, I see all of these successful people in the Silicon Valley, and that kind of shift the way I think about myself and what I can do.
Yeah, so you think this influenced like your perceptions or what can you accomplish? And also like, how was this like process, like also culturally wise? How did it like help get you your first job in the US? Because you worked for Yelp, right? It's
Oh
a
yeah,
it's a huge international company. Was that your first job?
yeah, that was my first job.
Okay, and how was it like?
So it was great. We had a team of like around 8 people at the time, and they were very supportive of me as a newcomer. And I was doing pretty well, I guess, in Yelp at the time, but I was working on my startup as a side hustle, and it was just too exhausting for me, which is why I decided to quit.
Okay, and you were working as a software engineer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and was it like was this your startup a side hustle from the beginning? Like, was the goal to be a side hustle along your career, or were you just working at Yelp until you reach the point that your side hustle can then become your main focus?
Right. So actually I've wanted to be like I've wanted to build a startup since the first year of college, and we've been continuously trying out different startups. Before we graduated, we incorporated our startup. After that, then I go to Yelp to work. But like when I was applying to Yelp, it was with the mindset that I was going to work for a few months to learn how software engineering works in a big company so that I can implement it in my startup. So during that time, I felt like seems like the startup is going somewhere, and I sort of got what I needed from working in Yelp, and the startup wasn't like moving fast enough for me because I had to like I can only do it at night. So that's how I decided to quit, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely a great mindset to first, before you actually go like full in your startup, go to work corporate or like a big established organization, learn like the proper way of how to handle things, how the organization works, all the business models and stuff like that. But you said that you were building your own startups already in the first year of college.
Yeah, I mean, it was just projects. Like we were just trying out random stuff.
Okay, and
But yeah, it was with the same team.
all right, got it. And how did your day at Yelp look like your usual day, and how is it different from now that you're a founder and an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so at Yelp, usually we would have stand up in the morning, and then since I was a newcomer, most of the stuff that I had to do were like smaller stuff like bugs. So I would just start working on that, I guess. Yeah, I guess most of it is just that. So just working on the task that I was given and run some tests, and then when the task is done, just submit it to be pushed and then continue on the next task. I guess
Yeah, so
that's mostly it.
yeah, so it's pretty mundane, right? And how what does it look now? Like, what's your day right now if you're a founder?
So now, usually in the morning, I would go through Slack and emails just to see if anyone needs me, and that includes my customers. So if there are any technical questions, I would help answer them. And then I would look at my tasks and usually do some coding. Or at the current moment, since I'm trying to grow Dumpling, I'm also making a lot of content for TikTok and Twitter. And yeah, after that, we would have a stand up at 7 p.m. actually, because our team is in Indonesia. And
Okay.
then I will help the people in my team to like review their work and stuff.
Yeah, all right, nice. Yeah, we'll definitely dive in more deeply in Typedream and Dumpling. But before we go on, I must ask you, like, I mean, you are on like a pretty successful track going to Berkeley from Indonesia, like a world-known university, then working in Yelp, now being a co-founder of like a successful startup. What do you think your unique skill is that has helped you come to this point?
I think it's not as much of a skill, but more like I have this small confidence that if I try something hard enough, I would be able to do it. So I think that's what drives me to like just aim higher, I guess, than most people.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds very unique, and I love how you shared this with us, because for us, also not coming from US, it's always interesting to talk to people from other countries, other cultures that have found their success in the Valley or in the States, and it's always interesting to share this experience. But now I want to dive deeper into your current projects. So one of them is definitely building Typedream, and we always love to listen to founders talk about their products. So can you tell our listeners what Typedream actually is?
Yeah, for sure. So Typedream is a no-code website builder. It's made to be very intuitive, like Notion. Very easy to make a website. Just need to start typing, and it's made for people who don't have design or coding skills. So we have all of the predefined styles and everything you need to build a website in like under 30 minutes.
Oh yeah. And how was the initial idea? How did it come up? How did it start?
Yeah, so previously we were working on a different product called Cotter. It was an authentication solution, and from there we stumbled into the no-code community, especially people who use Notion, and we noticed that a lot of them tried to make Notion into a website. Like they just published it as their website, and we were wondering, there are so many tools out there like Wix and Squarespace, why don't they use that instead? And the problems that they told us is that with Wix or Squarespace, they don't like how they're constrained to the templates. They don't like the editing experience. While with other tools like Webflow, where it's very customizable, it's just way too hard. So they just stick with Notion. So from there, we started our first MVP, which is basically a website builder that works exactly like Notion, except it has a button and navbar and custom domain.
Is it fair to say that Notion was like a big inspiration for you? I saw that you still do like free sticker packs for Notion and share stuff on there.
Yeah, of course. Notion is a big inspiration, and also a lot of our users are also Notion users. So the Notion community is definitely one of like the biggest community that supports us.
All right. And how did you validate the product? How was that like in the initial stages?
Yeah, so we were pretty skeptic when we first started it because we've just gone through so many projects, so many products, and like we're pivoting another time, and it's we were skeptical of the idea. So we first went to like 20 people. We interviewed them and asked them what was the problem with the current website builders. And after we found out that all of those stuff that I just mentioned earlier, we built an MVP with that button and now for custom domain. And then we went back to those people and asked them to try it out and see whether it solved their problem. And then from there, we also interviewed other Notion people that we haven't talked to previously. And yeah, just sort of both asking them if they solved their pain point and whether or not they can actually use it and if they like the experience. And we basically did that for about 6 months. So we were in private beta for 6 months while we onboard people and get people into our waitlist.
Yeah, I'm happy you already touched upon the user research part a bit. Did you do it like at the university? What was the environment where you tested this?
For doing the user research?
Yeah, like did you do it online with people that you already knew? What was that like?
It was basically from the people on our waitlist. For them to be able to access the product, they have to go through an onboarding call, which is where we do the user research, and it's just through Zoom like this.
All right,
so we would ask them to do a certain task, like, can you make a website that looks like this? And then I would observe their interaction with the editor.
Got it. And you already talked about some of the benefits of using Typedream compared to some other alternatives, no-code builders. But how do you actually market these benefits? How do you market your product?
Yeah, so I guess initially we used Notion a lot, as in our marketing copy, just to attract more of the Notion people. And I guess from there, with the first 6 months of private beta, we hyped it up and we make it such that if you want to jump up the waitlist, you have to tag your friend. And I think from there, it's just word of mouth that people in the Notion community and people who want to build something fast, they sort of spread the word also that using Typedream is like the easiest and fastest way for them to just build a page and get their product out there.
All right. You've mentioned that now you use a lot of TikTok to promote Dumpling. What were some channels that worked really well for you when you were promoting and now that you still market Typedream?
So I guess the channels, I think for Typedream, the channel that works most is Twitter, because the target users are Notion people and more techie people who are trying to build their own stuff. While for Dumpling, it's more towards creators and basically people who want to promote their businesses on social media. So for Dumpling, TikTok works better. Yeah.
I see.
Instagram, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter that you just dropped your ebook today. We did as well on some other topic. So I'm glad to see that that's working for you as well, or at least that you're trying it out. But now I want to ask you about your opinion on this marketing related topic. Do you think it's important to actually really focus on marketing in the early stages, or just build a project, build a product, and then see what happens?
Yeah, I think marketing is definitely very important. So from the first line of code, I started building in public. So I started sharing my progress, what I built that day, the struggles that I had, and that starts getting me some following, people who are interested in this project that I'm building, even before having any product at all. And that's also how got we were able to hype up the product before it's even released, and from there get people into the waitlist, which is then becomes very crucial for us to do the onboarding calls for our user research. So yeah,
Oh,
very important.
great. Thank you for the insight. And now maybe you know that we're a Webflow only agency. I don't know how familiar you are with Webflow, but could you do a short comparison between Typedream and Webflow?
Yeah, for sure. So I did try Webflow. In my opinion, as a software engineer, Webflow is very much like coding your own website, except you don't write the CSS or the styling. You just put it in the sidebar right there. So I feel like for people who has no knowledge on coding or designing, it's pretty hard to build a website, especially if you go with a blank page. While with Typedream, it's made for people, specifically those who don't have design skills and coding skills and just want to get something out really quickly. So the interface for Typedream is much more intuitive, in a way that it's like Notion. It's like a note taking app. Like basically, it's like a Word document. You just start typing. You type / button, and there you get a button. So yeah, it's very simple and easy, but at the same time, the resulting website is comparable. Yeah.
But it's like Typedream more template based, or can you actually like also, if you have the knowledge, go inside the code and like do like a full custom website?
You can do a custom website, but not by doing any coding. So we do give you a lot of templates, but you don't have to start with a template. You can start with a blank page, but all of the components in there are already predefined. So if you want to add a button, there's a predefined look of a button. You can't change that. You just use that button, but you can change the color and all that. Yeah, and we basically just look at popular websites. So for example, we take inspiration a lot from Apple's website. They use a lot of these cards with gradients, so we just make it available / card and you get one, basically.
Okay, yeah, and it's also SEO optimized, or like was it like if you like want to like do a really SEO optimized site and like rank high on Google, does Typedream allow you to do that?
Yeah, so we do really care about SEO, and we add this part for every page. You can set the meta title, metadata, and all the Twitter metadata as well.
All right, got it. Yeah, and do you think like a bit more fair comparison is not like with the Webflow, but maybe more with Wix and sites like this?
Yeah. I think it's more fair to compare it with Wix and Squarespace. The only difference is like, I guess if you were to compare it, Wix and Squarespace would be on the very easy side where they expect you not to change anything, not to customize the templates even. Like you just use a template and just change the text. While with Webflow, it's like fully customizable. We're sort of like in the middle where if you use one of our templates, you can still fully customize it. You can still move it around and it will still look good. And you can still start with a blank page if you want, but it's not as customizable as Webflow because we just have some predefined components that you can just readily use instead of build those components yourself.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, and to move a bit further from the Typedream, like the more general entrepreneurship, what do you think are the biggest things founders should focus when building their startup, especially their first startup?
I think they should focus most on their users and the problem that they're solving. First, one of the mistakes that we did was we often start with an idea. When we first like build a startup, we start with an idea instead of starting with a problem. So I think founders should definitely focus a lot on the initial problem and the users that has those problems, and making sure that they are asking unbiased questions when making sure that this problem really exists and it's big enough and painful enough for their users to pay for a solution.
Yeah, that's definitely a really common common misconception, to start with the problem and not with like the user research. And when you were starting with the user research and validating your product, did you use any special strategies like the mom test and something similar? I know in the Y Combinator they talk about it a lot.
Yeah, I guess somewhat, but we were more focused on asking the target user. So in this case, yes, we can explain our product to our moms and dads, I guess, but
Okay.
it was more like the focus was more towards whether or not our target users actually have this problem, and when we interview them, how painful is this problem for them. And I guess there was also like a resource in YC library or something that you can find online about how to ask unbiased questions when you're validating this problem.
Okay, yeah, and like imagine like if you could go back with all the knowledge you have now with building Typedream, would you do something differently when starting to build your new startup, or like even the same startup?
Yeah, I guess if I were to go back like far even before Typedream, I would tell myself to stop like with the ideas and stop coming up with like new features that I just think in my head that it would work, but start, just talking to the people first before even having any ideas. Because if you start with an idea, you can sort of make up a problem for it. So yeah, I guess that's what I would have.
Yeah, so basically build for the people or the market and not just build for the features itself, right? And what do you think were your biggest wins and failures when building Typedreams, like some big milestones?
I think the first one was how we got a lot of people on our wait list in that 6 months, and then the next one was our product hunt launch. We got product off the day and the week and the month, so that was a big milestone for us. Yeah, and then earlier this year, I think we released CMS, which allows people to not just build static websites, but now they can bring in their data from Notion.
Yeah, you said you had a big success on Product Hunt, right? This is a really popular platform. We also launched our product there. Did you use any special strategy when launching Core Product Hunt? Like, how did you go about it?
Yeah, so I think we prepared for like a couple months before, both on the product side and on the marketing side. On the marketing side, we would so we had these people who would basically tweet about Typedream to jump up the waitlist, right? So we don't open the waitlist until the product hunt launch, and just keep on getting people to do that to spread awareness of Typedream. And then we would contact a lot of the thought leaders in Twitter, people with a lot of followers, to help spread the word when we launch. And then we also found like the number one hunter in product hunt to hunt our product. So those are on the marketing parts. Oh, we also prepared, all the assets and the video for it. And then on the product side, we actually prepared making sure that the onboarding flow is as smooth as possible, because these would be new users and we want them to be able to succeed in building a website the moment they're basically done through the onboarding flow, so that they would stay in the platform and not drop off.
Yeah, got it. And how did you reach out to those like top leaders? did you already have a following, like a big following? So you were like, it was easier for you to reach out, or it was just like cold outreach?
Yeah, we already had some following. So I think because we started building in public from our first line of code, it has been 6 months since we first tweeted. So during that time, yeah, we have been building our audience and yeah, have talked several times to like these other thought leaders on Twitter.
Okay, and what were your biggest failures when building Typedreams?
I think one of the things that we haven't got right so far is like testing, I would say. Because yeah, I mean on the engineering side, that is something that we're still working on because it's just pretty challenging to test a website builder. Like the edge cases are just way too much.
Yeah, can you expand this a bit so our listeners can understand what do you mean?
Yeah,
also,
so like
non-tech people.
Yeah, so I guess the thing is, for most platforms, you having a robust testing is very useful so that every time you make a new feature, the older things doesn't break. And so with Typedream, the challenge is that there are so many possible interactions. Like you can, for example, add an image, add a text, bring the text next to the image, and it should become a column. And if you delete that image, it should come back into just a normal text without a column because one side is gone. So those kind of interactions is there's a lot of combinations of those interactions, so it's hard for us to test, and because of that, we still have to manually make sure that newer updates does not break previous features. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And at what point were you accepted to the Y Combinator?
We got accepted to Y Combinator around a month after I quit my job. That was we were building a very different idea back then.
But this idea was already Typedream and then you pivoted, or it was like a completely different thing?
It was completely different. So when we applied to Y Combinator, we wanted to make Robinhood for Indonesia. And then 2 weeks, 2 weeks into YC, we pivoted into Cotter, which is an authentication solution. And then almost 1 year after that, then we pivoted into Typedream.
And you also did Typedream in the Y Combinator, or that was like separate?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, were you also part of Y Combinator when you were building Typedream, or were you just doing this on your own and with your team?
So Y Combinator is only a 3 months program, but it's so we're basically a Y Combinator alumni because after we pivot, we're still in the same company, so it's still a Y Combinator alumni. But we're not like in that 3 months program anymore. That's already passed. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. And like, anyways, what was the experience? Because like we in Europe, we hear all about Y Combinator. It's like the best accelerator incubator in the world. But yeah, how is it really like?
Yeah, so it was actually really helpful for us, especially since we were first time founders. How it's like is like basically it's a 3 months program, and then there's like 100 or something, or well, I don't remember the number, but there are around 100 companies in one batch, and then we would be split up into groups. So in my group, there was like 3 or 4 other companies in my group, and then we will be assigned group partners. So our group partner was Michael Seibel and several other group partners, and basically we have a meeting every Tuesday where they will ask us, what have you done last week? What are you going to do this week? And like, what are the challenges that you are facing? And then we would try to find a solution to those challenges in that meetings. And we were also able to listen to our peers, like what were their challenges and how did they solve it. And then we also have these dinners once a week where we just have dinner with like all of the companies in the batch. So that was a great time for SaaS founders who are selling to other companies to just pitch their products to other YC founders. And then there will be also talks from YC alumni, so like from Brex or Airbnb founders. And yeah, at the end of the 3 months, there is demo day where they bring in all of investors and we just basically pitch our products to them and hopefully get investment.
Yeah, that sounds super awesome. I watch a lot of Y Combinator content in YouTube, and I listen to a bunch of podcasts, and everyone saying the same. Everyone say the same as you. I mean, it sounds like a perfect learning environment, especially for first-time founders, like you said as well. But what are some top things you learned there in this 3-month period?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing that I learned was talking to users and also shipping MVPs. Like at the time, I was still in the mindset that, you know, when I ship something, it should at least work properly and not, you know, fail a lot of the time. But since when we were there, since we pivoted in the middle of the batch, I was 2 weeks into building this new product, and the group partner just said, you know, just ship it. Like it's fine. The users will find the bugs for you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's also a common problem that the founders just don't want to release their product until it's perfect and just like keep building and building and building, and then like after 3 years, like not a single transaction was made.
Yep.
And yeah, did Y Combinator also help you like after program was over? Like, did they get you some contacts or like help you find the right people for your team?
So we already have the right people for the team, I guess, when we come in, but we do still like be able to do office hours, and the Y Combinator community is basically pretty tight with other YC founders, so we were able to meet other founders even after the batch, and they also do like a lot of this networking events where we can basically chat with our batchmates and see where they are 1 year, 2 years after the batch.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and glad to hear that the alumni program is still going strong. What I want to talk about now is Dumpling. I love the name, by the way. You're building it now. What is it, and what problem does it solve?
Yeah, so Dumpling is a link in bio builder, basically, like Linktree. And the problem that it solves is that for a lot of creators, especially those who has been doing their creator, like has been monetizing as a creator for some time, they usually have a lot of products to offer, but if they use other solutions like Linktree or Beacons, for example, they would just have more and more links, and at some point they'll have 10 links, and like their users will start to drop off because there's just so many options, like people can't find what they're looking for. So that's what we're solving with Dumpling by introducing visual hierarchies. So people can put images, videos that they already make since they're creators, and they could section off their stuff basically so that it's easier for people to find information. And yeah, basically just using, you know, general web design best practices, like you should have one call to action instead of like 10 so that you don't confuse your users and all that.
Is it solving the problem you had, or did you identify the problem in some other way?
I think we first identified the problems from other thought leaders in Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. And I guess it's useful all around social media, with link in bio being seen in a lot of captions across all channels. I want to know, you're still kind of in the early stages. How did you approach building this product?
Yeah, we're definitely still in the early stages for this, and right now, with dumplings, TikTok and Instagram, I'm trying to reach out to other types of creators. So we have already validated the problem with creators on Twitter, but right now we want to try validating like the problem with creators on TikTok and Instagram, and also businesses and coaches. Yeah, like all this sort of different people that we see all around.
I see. And even though you're still very involved in growing Typedream, you decided to tackle another project. Is it the same team working on both products? Are they connected in any way?
Yeah, of course, it's the same team, and basically I'm just putting on more part of my time in growing dumpling instead of working on Typedream.
All right, I see.
But yeah, still working on both of them. Yeah.
Perfect. At this point, I want to zoom out a bit. I want to ask you, what are you the most proud of as a founder?
I think one of the proudest things that I have as a founder is seeing how our users can first build their first iteration of their landing page on us, and now grow to very successful startups, or even like sold a lot of their content, like Notion templates or whatever, and make money from it.
Right. Has this founder lifestyle changed maybe your outlook on life as well? How do you think founders, do they see the world in a different way than an employee or a freelancer?
I'm not sure about the world view itself, but I guess the difference would be in like what they strive to do every day. For me personally, I always want to try new things, and yeah, just tackle different problems, and hope that my solution can solve the problems for these people, like my target user, basically.
All right, that's a very good insight also into what drives you, also for our listeners and for us with Peter as well, to see what motivates successful people. That's always interesting to know. Starting out, would you do anything differently if you had all the knowledge you have now? Have you made any mistakes that you don't want to repeat?
I guess the only mistakes that I did with like my previous projects was that I started with an idea instead of a problem. I guess that's one thing that can be improved, but another thing would be to start building my audience early. I've only started on Twitter when I started Typedream, but if I had just shared everything that I learned since it's the first time I make any project, I think that would have been a lot better. But yeah, I guess other than that, I think so far it's been yeah, pretty well. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I can definitely relate on that. On building an audience is so important. I'm also working on my own idea on a mobile app, and we just started building our audience like after 8 months of already building a product. So a big mistake. And yeah, it's getting slow. I mean, it's getting somewhere, but if we would start this now from the beginning, we will have like a huge audience now. And once we're ready to launch, we will just get a lot more users. But yeah, you said that you're very active on TikTok. I didn't have TikTok personally, but I see it's huge, especially in the US. Is that your social network of choice?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just started TikTok maybe a few months ago, like 6 months ago, I'd say. And that was purely to sort of understand what is TikTok and like how do people even market anything there. And I guess I found that I enjoy it more than like Twitter, making content there. Yeah.
And do you have any like strategy behind producing content, or you just like go by the day?
I think for me, mostly when I start my account, I make sure that I only follow the creators that are relevant to what I'm trying to do on TikTok, which is to market both Typedream and Dumpling. So I followed the no code people and everything, and yeah, just try to see, you know, what kind of content that they make and how they made it, and then just compare it to myself and my target audience and what kind of value I can share
Okay, got
following
it.
how those people did it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not using it for personal purposes. Yeah, you're not doing your like personal videos or TikToks. You're doing it more for like advertising, right? Or marketing.
Sort of, but I do have a personal account. But yeah, I try to make sure that my personal account is also somewhat aligned with like startup founders and tech people and software engineers like myself, instead of straying into, you know, all the other stuff on TikTok, like dancing and like cleaning and all the other stuff.
Nice. Yeah, classic TikTok. I mean, yeah. And did it help you get more reach, like bigger reach and also more users for both of your product, the TikTok?
Sort of. I mean, our TikTok account is still pretty small. I think for Dumpling, at least, it does expose Dumpling to other types of people that are not on Twitter, but not by much right now. Yeah, because it's still very small, and they don't even let you add a link if you don't have 1,000 followers. So it's more just for spreading awareness for now.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know that you cannot share a link. But I heard, I mean, at least what I read is like there are some like upgrades coming to TikTok as well in terms of advertising at least and marketing purposes.
I don't think we've used the promotion feature.
And what do you like? What are your some next steps as a founder now? Now that you launched Typedream, you launched Dumpling, what are you focusing right now? What's your next big goal?
Yeah, so I think my next big goal is launching Dumpling. Right now it's still in beta. We're still gathering more feedback, both on the platform and also on the problem, and trying to identify which niche we can focus on for it. So yeah, I think the next big step would be to launch Dumpling to the right people that has the problem that we're solving.
Great. Looking forward to that, definitely. So in your life, you've been around a lot of smart people, from Berkeley to YC to this podcast. Well, not sure about this one, but what I want to ask is, do you remember maybe the best advice you ever heard, and how did you implement it? Did any advice really stick with you? Or maybe even the advice you would have for anyone who's starting out their startup journey.
Yeah, I think one of the best advice was definitely the talking to users from YC, and also how they advised me to just start, like just push the product. I think that's not just in MVP, but like in most things, like when I wanted to try TikTok and everything, like just do it and just see how it goes, instead of overthinking on like whether it's worth it, what's going to happen, how do I do this, how do I do that. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. Definitely an advice to remember. To end this podcast off, we always do 5 rapid fire questions. So if you're ready, we'll start with, what's your favorite book?
Right. So I haven't been reading a lot of books lately, but the 2 ones that I really like was Dune. So if you know the movie Dune, there's a book for it, so that's my favorite. And then right now I'm also reading Three Body Problem, which is also very interesting.
Right. Favorite podcast?
So I don't actually listen to podcasts that much, so I can't say I have one.
Got you.
Maybe this one.
Maybe.
Nice.
Favorite no-code tool?
Of course, aside from Typedream and Dumpling, I would say Notion.
Most used app on your phone?
I think at the moment that would be TikTok and CapCut.
All right. And your favorite hobby?
I would say either just watching, Netflix, or watching my friend play a game.
All right, I see. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for chatting with us today. It was great talking to you, and I hope we catch up soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.